Once again, we are answering a request here on Random Review. I think. See, I got one in from X-Numaboy, and I thank him very much. But it's a little bit unclear, because the original request was R.I.D. Galvatron, a toy I do not own. And then the second request was Prowl, and he did not specify which one, so I'm just guessing that he meant the R.I.D. version. If I've gotten this wrong, I do apologize, dude. But a lot of people wanted me to talk more R.I.D. Autobot Brothers, so I guess we will hit number 2 on the list. And that would be Prowl here. As you can see, he is the most expensive police car ever as a Lamborghini. He looks absolutely awesome, though. I will admit, I love seeing this classic G1 style paint job, even if it is on a ridiculous car that would never be used by police enforcement. I do take a little bit of issue with the construction on it. As you can see, well, you might not actually. There's a few spots on it where the plastic has yellowed over time, and I will admit, it's been sitting on my shelves for a long time, so a lot of this might just be like grime built up, but I tried cleaning it best I could before the review, and it's still like a little bit cloudy. R.I.D. toys, I think, have some white plastic issues where they just start yellowing over time. They've never been in the sun, so I don't know why. So aside from that unintentional shifting of the colors, he's very plain in color scheme, as G1 Prowl was. He's all white except for the black trim around the base, and there's a few hits of red here and there, most notably on the top for the light bar and the Autobot symbol, which is an addition for the American version of the toy. Toward the rear, he also has some translucent plastic red for the tail lights, as well as some orange for the turn signals, because back in 2001, they actually painted tiny details like that. He also has some little details that are neat. I do like that he has twin exhaust pipes in the rear, which come back into play during robot mode. Most notably, it's very hard to see because of how dark this smoky plastic is, but he actually has seats inside. Now, they're not quite set right. I'm not sure a human would be comfortable in them, but there are seats in there, and they're actually used fairly cleverly once we get to robot mode, which I will show you. Now, R.I.D. was kind of a filler line. They just took car robots and slapped some American labels on them to release them, which is kind of the reason I am not surprised to see the original Japanese written on the side of the vehicle. And I could have looked this up on TF Wiki to actually tell you what that says. I did not. I will assume it says police of some kind. Though I just noticed that it is forward one way, backward the other. I don't know which is forward, which is back. Don't hold me to it. I don't speak the language. I'm not looking too good here, am I? So yeah, it is chock full of details. It is nicely painted up. A lot of little details are remembered. Look at that. They even put little spots in the bumpers. Everything was remembered. Everything painted. And that is very nice to see. Feature-wise, if you want a little bit of play value out of him, there's not a whole lot. It's an R.I.D. Deluxe, which means its wheels are pegged in, and they are rubber, which means he rolls exceptionally well. And I am lucky that mine has not had any issue with split tires or the like over the years. Now, if we want to add some actual play value to him, though, we can fold up the bits here on his spoiler, to which we add these little rockets, which are actually missile launchers. We plug one in on each side, and we could point them forward to fire, but why do that when we could point them this way and get rocket boosters? You know, because Lamborghinis don't go fast enough. We need to jet power this guy, too. It's a neat little look, and here, we'll fold it up properly, so it's kind of got that jet plane look. I kind of like him folded down to compress the look a little bit, but that's a little bit more proper, I assume. So that does look neat. I thought that was a neat little touch, neat way of using those missile launchers. We'll get back to them once we get to robot mode. And here is where things get dicey, my friends, because Prowl here suffers from that translucent plastic problem that I keep warning everybody about, though I seem to be fighting a one-man battle against that. These door panels are the first things that have to come off during transformation, but they are held in by translucent plastic ball sockets. And I'm not sure if I have an angle on one here, but on mine there is some split plastic. I'll show you if I get a good angle at it, but it does mean I'm going to transform him to robot mode very carefully. And if I suddenly jump cut, assume the next 20 minutes was me screaming profanities as one of my 15-year-old Transformer toys completely broke on me. Okay, we got that. I'm trying to get a good view. You can see right there. You can see that split all the way through. This toy did not see heavy play. It did not get banged around at all. But you can see that crack all the way through the plastic. That just happened one day. Through no fault of my own, no heavy play caused that. It just broke. And that's why translucent plastic shouldn't be used on tight hinges and ball joint sockets, because it can't handle stress over a long period of time. There's another crack through there. No, I'm not talking about the molding. There are additional cracks all throughout here, so we're going to be extremely careful from here on out. Okay, well, we've got that out of the way. I guess we can go ahead and transform this part down just to get a little bit of progress going here. That does, of course, form the chest. We can try to pop this out. That works. I'll raise that up. And there are the seats I told you about. You can clearly see them now with the windshields out of the way. They are actually robot mode feet. That was actually pretty good use of the shape of the foot. I credit the designer quite a bit for that. We'll rotate these around and then rotate the feet around. A lot of rotating to get this guy transformed. This will fold up. Oh, hang on. Ooh, careful time. He's got to rotate around. Very, very carefully. Don't crack. Don't break on me. Don't break. Whew. Okay, I think we're through the woods here. So that comes down. Well, we will slide the legs up into place. Now come the arms, which are formed from the rear of the vehicle. This is where he gets a little bit shell-formery, as the R.I.D. Autobot Brothers tended to do. So here we have... come on. Come on. It's a little bit stubborn. A little bit stubborn. Come on. Here you go. Come on out. Come. It's a lot bit stubborn. Hang on. Why is... there we go. So I guess when you don't use the joints on these toys for like 15 years, they kind of get stuck in one mode or the other. So that was silly of me. Okay, I do apologize for wasting everybody's time as I fumbled around with an old toy and tried not to shatter anything on it. Try to move these into a more proper position without breaking anything. And out of frame, so we will take a second to adjust this. We now have R.I.D. Prowl in robot mode. And his robot mode is quite cool. Like, of all the brothers, he does come out looking the most transformery and the cleanest of the three. You can see he does carry the kibble on his sides there. It kind of works as kind of skirt armor, so we'll give him that. And then, of course, yes, he does carry the back of the vehicle mode on his arm, so he does have some shell parts to him. What I do like is there is some usage of the vehicle mode bulk here, so it's not just a robot mode hidden inside shell. One of his biggest design features was all this translucent plastic over these shoulder pieces, nicely painted and a little bit of color underneath, just to give it a little bit of flair and unique look. You can see it better over here with the red. That looks so... I love this effect. This is like good use of translucent plastic. It's not under any stress, and it's being used to give layers to these parts. It looks really cool. It's the kind of trick I wish they did more often. The chest is also translucent plastic, though they really didn't take advantage of it there. It's just kind of there. A lot of paint went into it, though. It kind of looks like an engine block, and I actually dig how they used all of these pipes, the exhaust pipes, to form some bits in the robot mode chest. That's a nice detail. Head-wise, very sharp, very angular. It is nothing like the traditional Prowl, but then again, this was actually Mock Alert in Japan, so new character. He's painted all the way around, and the face is nicely painted with some bright orange eyes. And there's no light piping to them, so... And double check just to make sure I'm not saying something stupid. There's no light piping to him, so he actually looks alive. I don't have to have a halogen bulb behind him just to make him look that way. A lot more blue here as well in the pelvis section, which also has some nice pipes in kind of a metallic silver that was on the shoulders, as well as the shins almost completely painted over in blue to give him some color. He looks quite cool. I really dig the look of him. I use the word dig a lot in these reviews, don't I? I need vocabulary. So let's see. Let's talk articulation, since that was the big thing to R.I.D. They had a lot of joints to them. The neck is ball jointed, but you can't get any real up and down, so it's left and right only. Ball jointed shoulders, as well as bends at the shoulder. You have ball jointed elbows, but also a bend in the elbows. No waist joint because of the transformation, including the slide. You have these, which are... Whoa, hang on. Stay put, slidey bit. Okay, so, ball jointed hips. They really only work backward and forward, though, because the tire, the skirt armor all kind of collide together. You can move it out of the way and get a little bit more room, but there's a little bit... It's gonna create a clearance issue there. Ball jointed knees, as well as ball jointed ankles. Actually, ball jointed in two spots because of the transformation. So a little bit of extra posability. And yes, this does mean he can ankle tilt, which makes him a good figure. All good figures have ankle tilts, and only good figures have ankle tilts. This is the rule. So he does get some good poses going. He is probably the most expressive of the Autobot brothers. And that's mostly just because Sideburn is so restricted by kibble, and I'm sure we'll get to him at some point. I also like that a lot of his bulk does fold up to the back. So he does have a lot of cleaning up in his engineering to keep those vehicle mode parts from really hindering him more than they absolutely have to. So, playability. Now we could just plug these back onto the rear spoiler, but why do that when he has perfectly good pegs on his arms for the job? And this is more of a proper way of displaying his robot mode. This is actually a really neat way to do it. With a shield on one arm, his blasters on the other. And I actually kind of like the effect they went for here. The missiles themselves, okay, it's kind of silly. We've got flames coming out, and the flames are actually the warheads of the missiles, but as kind of like a flamethrower gimmick, it kind of works. I kind of dig it. They are pressure launched, which means they don't fire all that far. With the old plastic, I'm really not going to risk firing them off. But other than that, yeah, I think having those there really helps balance the toy out, gives him a more even look, and really wraps him up in a nice little package. I do quite enjoy this figure. He is a really good, just barely beaten out because I think X-Brawn has a little bit more character to his sculpt. But that is R.I.D. Prowl in all of his glory, and thankfully we got through without any translucent breakage, which after so long of sitting idle, oh my god, you have no idea how scared I was. I almost tried to worm my way out of this review just because of it. And Sideburn has that too. So he'll be fun.